Everybody, welcome to Mind Changes Podcast. I am your host, Sean Atkinson.
And I'm Lamar Blakeney. Listen,
and man, we're gonna get to this. Let's get to this, man.
Mind Changes International. Changing lives for the better. Our vision is to be a transformative platform that exposes lies and reveals the truth. Mind Changes International, we on a mission. Masking the falsehoods with every new edition. We're here to enlighten your mind with this vibration. Expose the lies, speaking truth, normal conversations. Mind Changes International, we on a mission. Masking the falsehoods.
Welcome to Mind Changes Podcast. Listen, I'm your host, Lamar Blakeney, with my other host, Mr. Sean Atkinson.
What's up, everybody? What is up?
Listen, you know how we do, Sean. We got to come in with the fire, man.
Yeah, man. Coming in with the fire for real.
That's right. Listen, we have a really good episode today. If you tuned in from us last week, we were talking about the power of letting go. And
Absolutely.
Listen, Sean got a lot of great information. I have a lot of great information. And we want to get right to this episode of Mind Changes Podcast. So this week, we're going to be diving into the importance of a transformative topic, the power of letting go. And Sean, as we talked about earlier, we're going to talk about the failures and mistakes of letting go, grief, toxic relationships, and strongholds. So tell me, Sean, from last week, man, what was your thought on our discussion on the power of letting go?
My biggest thought on the power of letting go was the fact that we all definitely don't have it all together when it comes to power of letting go. I mean, even the fact that I got a pretty good idea of how it works and I've implemented it in my life, I'm still trying to get things figured out myself about letting things go. And I can help with the perils of the mistakes, because I make tons of mistakes over my course of healing and letting go certain things in my life, and those things that I can put in your direction, the viewer's direction, so that you don't make the same mistakes I did.
Yeah, and you know, it's easier said than done when you're talking about letting go of certain things in your life. It's not so cut and dry.
It's not.
It's a gray area depending on what it is that you have to let go. Last week we shared some stories, very impactful stories, real true stories about things that we dealt with ourselves when it came to letting go. And you know, the topic we're going to talk about tonight, one of the topics we're going to talk about tonight is letting go of failure and mistakes, right? So we know that when you fail, sometimes it feels like the hardest thing in the world. You're miserable, you're embarrassed, but you know, I tell people this, and Sean, wisdom, people want it, right? They want wisdom. Let me put my pop filter up here because it is getting on my nerves. People want wisdom, right? Yes. They want it. But they don't understand that wisdom comes with a price. It comes through failure, grief, mistakes, bad decisions, relationships. Because in order to get wisdom, sometimes you have to go through some pain. And that lesson is wisdom.
That's right.
That lesson is wisdom.
Dude, pain is always intertwined with wisdom. And it comes with just time, extended periods of time of working on certain things, getting it wrong, getting things right, and just learning from your mistakes, and most importantly, being honest with yourself through all your failures.
Yeah, and see, we hold on to failures like a memorabilia. We hold on to failures like an artifact. We hold on to failures as if it's money in the bank. We allow them to define us and hinder our progress. See, I'm going to tell y'all, America, it is crucial to recognize that mistakes are part of the journey of wisdom. Mistakes is part of the journey. When a kid starts walking, they're going to fall. They're going to make mistakes. So, Sean, this life is like riding a bicycle. See, if we don't put on the proper protective equipment, we're going to fall and we're going to get bruises and it's going to hurt because we jumped on this bike with no wisdom. But once we get wisdom, we know, hey, if I'm going to ride this bike of life, I need this to protect me. I need that to protect me. And see,
that's right.
Opportunities for learning and growth comes from failure.
That's right.
So, Sean, I'm going to ask you a question. How can we shift our mindset to view failure as a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block?
Well, just going off of what you said about children, about the riding the bike, we have to approach failure as a child. When we were a child, we didn't care about failure. We just wanted to know what the next step was. We wanted to know why the sky was blue, why, we wanted to know everything. And we weren't worried about failure because we weren't scared. Because once we became an adult, we understand where failure can wrap us up and entangle us and keep us from moving forward. A lot of times in our adult life, failures are attached to losing things that we don't want to let go of. So when we are when we are looking at failure, we have to look at it as a child. I mean, don't be scared of failure. Learn from failure. Use those failures so that you don't make those mistakes twice. My grandfather used to tell me, I don't care how many mistakes you make, just don't make the same one twice. Just don't make the same one twice.
Don't get burned by the same fire. And so I have after reflecting this week, Sean, I took some time to think about failure. So is failure really failure? Here I go. Y'all know how I think. Is failure really failure? So let me give you an example. So God is like a parent. So here's little Johnny, if I can use this illustration, right? Little Johnny mama says, if I let him eat all this candy, his teeth gonna fall out. So I'm gonna put it up out of his reach.
Right.
I'm gonna let him see it, but it's nothing he can do to get it. So little Johnny gets a chair and he climbs up on the chair and he still can't reach it. Little Johnny go get something else, a box, and he put it on top of the chair. Now he climbs on the chair and climbs on the box and he still can't reach it. So to Johnny, he failed to get what he saw. But see, sometimes God says, you know what? You're thinking it's a failure, but it was a preventative measure from me not allowing you to destroy yourself because I knew if you got this, it was not going to be good for you. So I put it where you can see it, but I kept it out of your reach. And because you couldn't reach it, you viewed it as failure. Let me tell y'all, everybody, failure is not always failure. Just like an opportunity is not always an opportunity. Sometimes in the invisible, there is a force that is keeping you from this assignment or this goal that you wanted. And because he knew, God knew that this goal, if you reached it, was going to destroy you. So you said I failed, but really God protect you from what could have happened to you if you had succeeded. So we can't always look at failure as failure. What's your thoughts on that, Sean?
Yeah, failure in this day and age is compounded because of social media. Social media has trained us, and especially this generation right now, has trained all of us that if we are not achieving what everybody else is achieving on social media, that we have failed. The failure is compounded because now everybody sees you failed. Because a lot of times we're out there and we're posting what we're doing, we're posting our how we're going to move forward, what we want to achieve, and then when we don't achieve it, we feel less than ourselves because we see everybody else achieving it. But I'm here to tell you, a lot of what you see on social media is fake. A lot of people that are saying that they're doing this and they're doing this, they're not. Yeah, they might be showing you where they're achieving, but they're not showing you where they're falling short in order to make sure that you see that they're doing something that they want you to see. I mean, you got a lot of individuals, and I was just looking at this just the other day. It seems like the new level of success is going to some tropical island. Everybody's going to a tropical island. But a lot of people aren't showing you that they ain't getting their rent paid, they ain't paying their car notes, they ain't getting their light bill paid. just so they can show everybody that they're somewhere in Cozumel or Cancun or some of those places. So failure now is compounded because of social media, because everybody thinks they got to be doing the same exact thing. Everybody's got to be achieving the same exact thing. Everything seems to be microwaved. You got to put it in a little package, and that if I'm not doing if I'm not getting the Dodge Charger, if I'm not out there going to Cancun, if I'm not getting the G-Wagon, if I'm not, if I can't show hundreds of dollars and to everybody on social media, then I failed. But you haven't failed, because success is so much different. Success is being able to pay your bills every day. Success is being able to send your kids to a good school. Success is being able to make sure that you've got some money put up so that when the rain comes, when the storm comes, it won't wipe you out. Success is more than just showing everybody what it is you have achieved.
Yes. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we're compounding failure and mistakes because we're going down the line. Because the next thing we're going to talk about is grief. So, Sean, I want to stay here at failure and mistakes just a little longer, okay? Is that okay?
Because we haven't really talked about the mistakes. The mistake is different than a failure. Yeah. It's much different than a failure.
So let's say this. So the Wright brothers who created, who took the first flight, that's why North Carolina is called First in Flight, because of the Wright brothers. It was the continuation of failure that caused them to achieve success. So in their failures, they made mistakes. And the reason that they made mistakes because the plane wouldn't fly. So they had to go back and say, okay, I'm going to try this again. And they kept on trying. Failure, mistake. Oh, the wings were not right. Failure, mistake. Oh, we don't have the right velocity to get the lift. Failure. Let me tell y'all, failure is necessary. Mistakes are intentional. They are intentional. So sometimes holding on to failure, depending on what that failure is a motivation to become successful.
Right.
So now let's look at mistakes. Okay, we got failures and mistakes. Now I'm gonna go way left, right? Mr. Mike. No, I'm not gonna use this example because sometimes I can say things and then I can't take it back because y'all saw it and it's recorded. So I'm trying to use wisdom here. Use wisdom. Everything ain't a mistake. Right?
Right.
And so we're talking about the power of letting go. In the power of letting go, you have to be honest, because sometimes we label mistakes as a mistake when really it was an intention. So I'll give it to you this. If I go out and cheat, it is not a mistake.
No,
it was a well thought out plan.
It was.
Because we put things in the mistake category that ain't mistakes. Falling up the step is a mistake. Dropping a cup is a mistake.
Right.
Actions are not mistakes. Actions are intentional. Right?
Okay.
So we got to learn how to put mistakes in its right category. So letting go of failure is necessary depending on what it is. Because if I'm trying to save somebody's life and I do something and it don't work, it don't mean quit. I failed at that attempt. Let me attempt again. But then there's some failures that you just got to let go, people, because, failed relationships, as they say, failed opportunities, we have to go to God when that failure, and that's going to be the next thing we talk about, grieve us to the point where we cannot let it go. And holding on to it will cause health issues. Holding on to it will break down your body's resistance because it's an energy. And your body can't stay in that state of being with that negative energy. What's your thoughts on that, Sean?
Yeah. Now, mistakes, as you say, are unintentional. They're intentional things that you do. And failures are never intentional, because sometimes you can fail and it's not even for your fault at all. Just like somebody else can come in and cause the failure. Somebody can undermine you and cause the failure. But the mistake that you intentionally made can be also attached to the failure. So we have to look at the fact that we don't always need to hold on to the failure. Like you said, we got to let it go, because sometimes it's not to any fault of our own. But now the mistakes that you intentionally make, sometimes the mistakes aren't of egregious, because sometimes the mistake was made because of lack of knowledge. Sometimes the mistake was made because you didn't quite understand when you actually made that decision that there's other things that were tied to it, that if you weren't prepared or knowing that those other things would cascade, they end up becoming bigger than what they were. So you're going to always make mistakes because you can't always see out far enough of what your decision is going to make. But you have to take notice and take account of those cascading events that take place, so that when you make that decision again, you'll be like, okay, I remember last time I made that decision, this happened, this happened, this happened. And other decisions that you make are going to make those same exact events take place. So that's part of the wisdom. That's part of the wisdom that we talked about. You start learning how things affect you. It's like a Lego set. You put this Lego here, you put this Lego there, and I know what it's going to end up being, because I know what's going to happen down the road when I make this decision. And that takes time. Man, that takes so much time, because in my life I made decisions that I wish I could have gone back and said I never made that decision, because I had no idea what that decision was going to put me on path for down the road. And so always understand and always know that a failure is not always because of what you've done. Sometimes the failure is what you said earlier. It's God saying, no, you can't have that. You cannot have that. Sometimes the failure is because you talked about what you wanted to do too soon and somebody undermined it. And sometimes the failure is because you didn't quite understand the scope of what it was you were trying to do. The mistake is something that you're going to have to make so that you can see all that your decision is going to transcribe down the road.
Yeah. And Sean, life is based on a series of decisions. Mm-hmm. And we have to know that with each decision, there is a potential side effect. Mm-hmm. And that side effect, most of us call a mistake.
Yeah.
Right? That side effect, most of us call it a mistake, but it is derived from an act or an action, because we live in a world where, every action has a reaction, That's the right. Noetherian theory. So we have to, people, let go of failures and let go of the mistakes you made, because they have no place in this life. Keep looking at them. Like I said last week, is equivalent to driving a car and looking in the rearview mirror and trying to get the food line. You're going to run into more trouble. You're going to run into something. You're going to kill yourself. So listen, it is time to let go of failure and mistakes. So Sean, next on the list, we're going to talk about grief. Letting go of grief, letting go of what we've lost can be life's most challenging experience, whether it's the loss of a loved one, Sean, a job, a dream. Grief is a natural response. However, holding on to grief, Sean, can prevent us from moving forward, people. So, Sean, I got a question for you. What strategy have you found helpful in processing grief and finding peace, at the age of 51? And I just told you age. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know, right? My biggest thing that I learned in grief was to acknowledge the grief. You cannot ignore the grief, because for my entire life, I ignored it and I let the grief stagnate. I just let it stagnate, and when you let grief stagnate, you cannot let it go, because it always has the opportunity to rise its ugly head. In certain times where you don't even want it to be a part of your life, when you think you've gotten over it, it comes back and it keeps burning and it keeps digging and it keeps burning into your spirit, into your soul. So the biggest thing that I've learned with grief is it's okay to grieve. It's okay to let it have its season. It's okay for grief to have its season so that you can deal with it and then you can move forward. Because if you let it stagnate, it won't go anywhere. It'll always stay there. And then 10, 15, 20 years later, you're like, why haven't I dealt with this? Because you haven't dealt with it. Because you didn't give the grief its season. You didn't deal with it so that you could then move forward from it.
Yeah. And we can allow grief to become this tent of misery.
Oh, yeah.
That we allow to just cover us.
Oh, God, yes.
We allow to
Yes,
lay
sir.
over us. And if you do, it keeps the sun out. It keeps those
It does.
beautiful days out. It keeps those beautiful moments from shining down on you. And it keeps the rain from falling on you. Because some rain is necessary. It is necessary. And so while grief, has its place, because emotions are important, people. God gave them to us for a reason, but even too much laughing is not good. Too much of anything is not good. So there has to be a balance. So when we're grieving, we have to use wisdom, because in order to let that grief go, sometimes you have to tap into a coach, somebody who can run point guard on this situation to help you get out of this state of being. Because grief is a state of being. It's a mindset that was brought on by some type of trauma, right? Some type of trauma, some type of loss, some type of broken relationship, loss of a job, your car got repossessed, people don't understand you, you're depressed, and you're grieving and you're grieving and you're grieving. And it's almost like when you grieve, you in the valley of the shadow of death.
That's right.
Everybody is standing above the valley. Don't nobody see you down there asking for help. Nobody's recognizing you, and you just feel isolated. You feel alone. Listen, people, Yeshua died so that the grief you bear, if you just hand it over to him, and I know saying it is not that easy, but if you practice and find a process of handing over that grief to something or someone that can help you navigate those emotions, letting go of it will get better and better, because anything you practice, you get good at. And I'm telling you, in today's society, there are some grieving people. There are some grieving children, grieving parents, grieving husbands, grieving wives. Grief is dangerous. This is why there's so much power in finding a way to let it go. To let it go, you got to cut the cord of grief. Yes. Because grief is tied to death.
Yes.
It is. It's tied to death of something.
Of anything. The death of anything. And also, too, let's make note to this, too. We are emotional creatures. We are emotional beings that we need to be tied to an emotion. And if we tie ourselves to just grief, that will be the emotion of the day. That will be the emotion that drives you. That'll be what you become comfortable with. You will wallow in that, and it will be part of who you are. And the longer you stay in it, the longer you can't get out of it, because our spirit wants to be attached to something, whether it's good or bad. We are going to be attached to something. It's much like when you eat unhealthy. If you eat unhealthy long enough, your body will want nothing but the unhealthy. You will have no appetite for the healthy. And it's the same thing with our spirits and our emotions. If we attach ourselves to unhealthy emotions, before long, it'll be what drives you. It will change who you are. It'll make you cynical. It'll make you hateful. It'll make you not want to be around nobody. And then when you have completely pushed everything and everybody out of your life, the grief will take over, and the grief will be what you are. So that is why it's so important to let that grief go.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, I've grieved. When I lost my brother, I grieved 10 years.
Oh, man. Dude, I was there. I saw it.
Yeah.
I saw it.
I wasn't happy. Nothing made me happy. I had survivor's remorse. Sean knows I was supposed to pick him up that Tuesday, but I chose, to stay over a friend's house. And, I just had so much attached to me to blame me.
Right.
And for 10 years, I grieved. When I said I grieved in silence. Nobody knew I was grieving but Sean. Me and Sean was roommates. Nobody knew I was grieving but him, because he knows my expressions. He knows. Even when I took pictures, I remember one time, Sean, I took a picture. He was like, dude, you smile.
Yeah, I remember that. I couldn't
because I was grieving over something that had nothing to do with me.
Yeah. And not to mention, it not only that, it affected your drive when we were in the music business. You just didn't want it anymore. I mean, you were going through the motions, but Lamar was not. You won't Shy Daddy no more. You won't Shy Daddy. You know what I'm saying? You were just going through the motions.
And Shy Daddy was my nickname as a singer. So I can't say his nickname on the air because it's not good. The church ain't going to understand it.
No, definitely not.
They're not going to understand it. But you know what? Not. If you talk to Sean in private, he'll tell you what it was. But I can't say it up here. But yeah, they called me Shy Daddy Swinging. With nothing shy about me. Trust me.
I know,
it just was a name that sound good.
Right.
But that grief almost destroyed me. Like it almost. I contemplated suicide. The enemy. When you have grief, he's there. He's a coward. He never attacks you when you are cognitive of what it is you're dealing with. He always wants to point the finger at you, like, if you would have picked him up like you told him, he would have been alive. If you would have just not lied and kept your word. And see, when I think about that, it's a trigger.
Yeah.
Because I should have kept my word. But guess what? If I had known that 4 guys who didn't know him would have done that to him, I would have walked to Baltimore.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would have walked. Couldn't nobody stop me. I would have walked there. And that wouldn't care how long it took me to get there. But I'm telling you, you right here, whoever you are, dealing with grief, let it go. Give it back to the God who gave it to you, because our God didn't give you that grief. That grief was communicated through the air by an evil spirit. And I don't mean that you can't cry over your loved ones when they die, but you can't stay there. You can't stay there.
No. And that goes, and the decision you made, as you said, that you didn't pick them up when you said you were, those are the decisions I was telling you that you have no idea the ramifications of the decisions. And you can't hold yourself hostage, that you have no possible way to know what those ramifications of those decisions. Only God knows the ramifications of those decisions. And not only that, Tony, God rest his soul, God was calling him back. There was nothing you could have done.
Yeah.
Tony was coming home. God wanted Tony home, and there was nothing you could do about it. But at the time, you didn't think of it that way. You put the blame on yourself. You put the blame on yourself, that then put that grief on you, that then pushed you out of who you were, and it caused you to make even more decisions because you were struggling in order to shake this grief. You didn't know how to shake it, so you were making other unhealthy choices in your life with the other things, that because you were desperately seeking relief from everything you were dealing with, and you were making those reckless decisions throughout your life that then compounded even more issues. And that was a dark 10 years of your life.
Yeah. And I'm gonna share this with y'all. God, he gave me the vision before my brother died. Sean is a witness. I told Sean I kept having this vision that I was.
You thought it was you, though.
I thought it was
me.
You
thought it was going to be you.
I said, I'm being chased, and Sean, God just gave me a revelation right now. I'm gonna give it to you.
Okay.
I saw 4 guys chasing me, but I was my brother, and they shot me in the head, and in my head it was my brother getting shot. Right. And so I told Sean that months before it happened, because I told him I thought it was going to be me.
Well, it was reoccurring. This was a reoccurring situation.
I kept having it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And then I called my mom a week before it happened and told her, I said, Mom, I keep having a vision that Tony get chased by 4 guys. He gets shot in the head and he die. And I said, Ma, in the vision, it was me running. She says, well, he's going to school to be a police officer. He's not running the streets. So this is what God told me. Just now, if I had went to Baltimore, it might have been me running.
Might have been.
And I might not be here. And Amale, Akiva, and Azante, Joshua, and Isaiah would not be here.
Absolutely. Yeah, so, because you and Tony are a spitting image. So they would have thought you were Tony. You know what I'm saying?
That's correct. So remember when I just talked about how sometimes God will place something up so you can't reach it? Mm-hmm. I believe it was God protecting me to not go to Baltimore.
Yeah, that's true.
Because if I had been with him, whatever reasons and whatever malice they had, people saw my brother. They saw me. They was like, dog, you got to be Lamar, brother. I mean, we was just that close. I mean, that close. But
yes.
So we're going to move on to the next topic, Sean.
All right.
Toxic relationships. So let's discuss toxic relationships. So sometimes, Sean, we can cling to who drain our energy and bring negative into our lives. And so recognizing these relationships and people, letting them go can be liberating. That word means free, liberating. It can open up doors of healthy connections. So, Sean, I want to ask you a question.
Yeah, man.
People out there, I want y'all to respond to this podcast. Listen, share this podcast with a friend. There's somebody you're dealing with that might be dealing with some mental health issues. Listen, share this podcast with them. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Mind Changers. Listen, Sean, I'm going to ask you this question before I forget it. All right? Because I know I will forget it, right? How do you, and I'm asking people out there, I want y'all to respond back in the chat. How do you identify and navigate toxic relationships? So how do you do that, Sean?
Well, how I used to do it is when somebody cares more about their own feelings than that they do of you. I mean, that is a quick indication that that's a toxic relationship. When somebody just sucks the life out of a relationship and doesn't add anything back to the relationship, that is a toxic relationship. When somebody is violent, just plain violent, and they're more worried about not hearing the word no, they're more worried about their own feelings, they're all more worried about getting everything they can get out of a relationship, that is a toxic relationship. And throughout my life, I've seen those. I fell victim to them. I've allowed them to overcome me. But it was just the years and the years of seeing this kind of behavior to where I finally realized that I didn't want to be a part of those people I didn't want those people in my life. And thank God I was blessed with a wife that doesn't have a lick of toxicity in her whatsoever. Because there was a time in my life to where I just could not deal with other people telling me what to do. I couldn't deal with it. I would just allow them to tell me what to do. I couldn't deal with none of that. And it stifled me because I allowed people to dictate the friendships. I allowed people to dictate things, and I just went along with it. Because I didn't want confrontation. Confrontation stifled me. Confrontation, I was fearful of confrontation. And thank God I was blessed with a wife that did not bring that confrontation into our relationship, so that I didn't have to deal with it, and I was able to work on it. So that because confrontation is important. You need confrontation in your life. And confrontation is not a recipe of toxicity. Confrontation is just things where you just tell people what you expect. You just tell people when you've had enough. You tell people that I'm not going to accept that. And when people cannot hear that from you, and they don't want to hear that, then they are toxic. And those are the individuals that you do not need in your life.
Yeah. And when you look at the word toxic, that means it's deadly. So
it is.
When you look at the word toxic, it means it is deadly. And if you're in a relationship that you feel worse after you communicate with this person than before you communicated with this person, that's toxic. Ladies and gentlemen, listen, if you're in a relationship and it is violent, it's beyond toxic.
It's beyond toxic.
I don't know a word stronger than toxic, but it's deadly. It's like radiation.
Yes.
You are not in a healthy place.
Right.
You have to break free. There's no love. There's no sex. There's no hugging. There's no kissing. There's no buying of gifts that should force you. Listen, people, force you to stay in a relationship that is unhealthy.
Yes.
That is unhealthy because love don't hurt. Love don't burn. Love don't bruise. Love don't lie. Love don't steal. Love don't dishonor. Love don't deceive. If you're in a relationship and any of those elements are present, it is a toxic relationship. You might as well go get one of them signs that they have at the plants and put up there that this is toxic. When you go to the doctor's office and it's biohazard. Some people are a biohazard to your life, and you got to let them go. You have to let them go because misery is a failure. Misery is grief. And I'm telling you, if you're in, listen, people, listen to me. If you're in a relationship that just a phone call mess your spirit up, it's toxic.
It's toxic.
When they come home from work and your whole aura change, it is toxic. If you lay in the bed with this person and you want to throw hot water on them or some grits, play some grit ball, it's toxic. And if you can't stand this person, you can't say, I can't stand them, but I love them. That don't go together.
Yeah.
It is toxic.
It is.
I'm telling you. Sean, I want to share something with you guys out here. And I'm sharing it with you, Sean.
All right.
We have to create an energy budget that we can live by.
That's right.
There's some people who ain't even in a relationship with you, but when you look at the phone, you're like, oh, man, this guy calling me. I already know something ain't right. His job treating him wrong. His girlfriend, she stole his socks. I mean, his, somebody done came and ate all his porridge. I mean, it's always something. That's
always
a
something.
toxic relationship. When somebody makes you feel that way and you don't even want to answer the phone and you avoid them, that is a toxic person, and that friendship is toxic. So let me give y'all something y'all should use. Okay, Sean, I'm going to give you this too because I never shared it with you. So you got to create an energy budget. It's like a bank account, right?
All right.
In this energy budget, if you fall below 70%, that means you're deficient.
Okay.
Right? You're going into the red.
Right.
And so people, when you call somebody, first thing you should do is check in.
Okay.
Hey, listen, man, I had a bad day today, bro. How is your energy budget? Do you have enough for me today? Do you have enough in your budget to handle what I'm about to load off on you, man? And if I say, no, man, I had a bad day myself. All right, bro, I'm going to call you back later. Yeah. You have to protect your energy budget because this is what happens. If your energy budget falls below 50%, you ain't got no good advice for nobody.
That's right.
You're agitated. You don't feel like talking yourself because you need somebody to donate some energy to you. See, you gotta know.
That's right.
You have to know when you're not in a good place. That's why I don't give people advice if I'm having a bad day. Or if I have a bad relationship and they're asking me for relationship advice, that means your energy budget is off. Now, you can have a good day where, hey, you know what? I'm having this bad day with this person, but my energy is good because I went through what you went through. Let me tell you what you do with this. You got to protect your energy budget because if not, it's just like insufficient funds. There's not enough in that account to even help the negative person.
That's right.
So
not to mention, sometimes you just like you could call that person, and the way you enter that conversation, sometimes that alone can allow somebody to maybe dig in the reserve for you because you come in with consideration. You're coming with consideration for their energy budget. So I can see you sometimes be like, you know what? let me dig in my reserve, and I'm gonna give you something because you came at me. You came at with this consideration. So I love this. I love this, man. Keep going.
So
keep going.
You got to protect your energy budget with your life because it affects your state of being. It affects who you are being at that time. So create an energy budget that you can live by and honor it. It's like a budget. You say, hey, somebody say, hey, can I borrow $15? Like, it ain't in my budget. Hey, man, can I get some advice for you? It ain't in my budget today, bro.
Right.
Listen, you got to call me back later because my energy budget is low. I'll get paid next week. So when I go to church, I'm going to get a deposit put into me. Because my pastor going to deposit something in me from the Holy Spirit so I can build my account up. And then, listen, I'll holler at you later.
Okay.
You got to protect your energy budget because it will throw you back into grief. It'll throw you back into depression because you can't handle nobody else's problem if your levels of energy is not conducive to do so.
I got you.
All right. So just
know. That's a good way. And that's a good way to limit toxicity in all relationships. So we all have a responsibility to help fight toxicity.
That's right. Listen. I'm glad y'all tuning in because me and Sean, we in the pocket right now. We in the pocket. I feel like I'm in the pocket right now. So listen, this is a great topic. Last week we had 3,100 people play this. I'm telling you, share this. Shame on you if you don't share this with somebody you know that is going through something. Because I'm going to tell you, create an energy budget. I guarantee you the day-to-day life will be different if you manage your budget and you be a good accountant of your energy.
That's right.
All right. So we come into our final subject, which is strongholds, right? So
strongholds.
We'll explore strongholds and see these patterns of thinking or behaviors that keep us trapped, often rooted in fear, Sean, insecurity. So letting go of strongholds require, how can I say, intentionality and faith, right?
A lot of work.
I got a question for you. And listen, everybody out there, I have a question for you. What practices have helped you, Sean, break free from strongholds in your life? Because I'm eager to hear your thoughts and strategies.
Yeah, for me, strongholds, for many, many years, I just thought I could handle them myself. I thought I could deal with them myself, and then it got to the point to where I just completely forgot about them. I tried to maybe put them over there on the side, and if I don't look at them, they're not there. That was a big way that I dealt with them. It wasn't until I started eliciting help, eliciting therapy, and giving these strongholds over to someone else that is educated and equipped in order to help me with those strongholds. And last but not least, Jesus Christ, man. Jesus Christ helped me remove these strongholds out of my life. Definitely the therapy helped, but the therapy just gave me the tools to do it. But without Jesus Christ removing these strongholds, out of my life, I don't think I would have ever got there. I definitely would not have got there because following Jesus Christ and becoming a disciple of Jesus Christ gave me even more tools in my life in order to push these strongholds out of my life, because these strongholds are of the devil. They are put in place to keep you from growing. They are put in place to keep you from realizing your full potential. They are put in place to make sure that you will never become who God made you to be, because we were all meant to be somebody. We were all made fearfully and wonderfully from God. We were all made to in his glory. We were all made to be great people, all of us. And the strongholds are God's number one way. Strongholds are the devil's number one way to stifle you and put roadblocks in your life and make you mediocre and make you into who you shouldn't be. And it was Jesus Christ that catapulted me into taking these strongholds and strangling them and breaking them and throwing them out of my life and really pushing me into and catapulting me into it to just tell about God's glory.
Yeah. And Sean, strongholds are chemically induced. I'm a nerd. I'm part nerd on certain things, right? So and I'm not trying to go over anybody's head. I'm not the smartest knife in the drawer.
Okay.
But I do study certain things.
All right.
And I love neuroscience. I love it. Epigenetics, quantum physics. I'm your guy. I can know the formulas. I can spit them out right now. I'm telling you, the body and the brain is so unique. This is a work of art, but it also can be the most dangerous work of art, because what happens with strongholds is this, Sean, you can't unsee what you saw. You can't unfeel what you felt. So let's talk about pornography for a moment. All right.
Yes.
The first time I saw it, my brain went crazy.
It did.
Right.
Yes.
And so now my neocortex, because we got three brains, the neocortex, the limbic brain, cerebellum. So now my thinking brain is imagining what I see. And the limbic brain is producing the chemical to make me react to what I see.
That's right.
Right. And then as a young guy, and even as an older guy, I felt myself having a stronghold viewing that. It became a habit.
Right.
Because you go from thinking to doing to being. I'm going to say it again. You go from thinking about it to doing it to being. That's how we get attached to strongholds. And the stronghold ain't just a desire. A stronghold is a chemically induced desire. So, and I give it to you this way, Sean. So the first time you were intimate and your brain released that chemical for you to feel that intimacy, it didn't give you all of the chemical. It left some for later, like an energy budget, right?
Right.
And so when you start thinking about it, it releases enough chemical to arouse you enough to now pursue it.
Right.
That's how bad and how deadly a stronghold can be. It will be a thought that releases the chemical to make you feel like this experience you want to experience again, whether it's with another woman, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's a drug, an alcohol, whether it's something you're using as a codependency. Strongholds have to be broken. It's a spirit. Listen, people, strongholds are a spirit. And how do you kill a spirit? You cut off its food supply.
That's right.
Starve it to death.
That's right.
That means don't do it. Starve it to death. And that spirit, as the Bible says, resist the devil and he will flee. Resist the habit and it will end. Resist a stronghold and it will die. It's all about resistance.
That's right.
Resistance is the key to breaking strongholds.
That's right.
In our lives. And the most powerful word in the world, Sean, I call it manope. If you go to the alphabet, right, you got MNOP.
Right.
I call it making no our priority. But if you move the M and the P, you got no, right?
Right.
No is the most powerful word in the world. I don't care what language, it means the same. No means no. It's the shortest sentence. No.
Right.
Period.
That's right. That's right.
No. So saying no to those strongholds is where we got to build up that courage and the tenacity and the will. And so, Sean, and I know I'm going off, man, but people pray. I pray for little Johnny to stop doing drugs. God ain't going to stop Johnny from stop doing drugs, but he's going to give Johnny an opportunity to stop.
That's right.
He ain't stopping
Johnny.
him.
Yeah.
God is not up there with a magic wand changing people.
Nope.
People have to make a decision to change.
They do.
Listen, people. Listen, share this podcast with your friends and family. Listen, follow us on YouTube. I know this is some great content because of the excitement we have in sharing it. We've been through this stuff and we're still going through stuff. Life lessons don't stop just because we think we've been through everything. No, we have not.
We have, we
have not.
I still got a lot to learn. I got a lot to learn.
Because guess what? Strongholds evolve, habits evolve, grief evolves, mistakes and failures evolve. All these things get worse as we get older. So, Sean, what's your thoughts on that?
Yes, strongholds, you have to be tired of them. You've got to be ready to remove them from your life. Sometimes strongholds are there, and it's like that thing you see every day. You just get used to it. It's like, well, there it is. Like I said earlier, I would just put them over to the side so I wouldn't stumble over them. I could walk around them. But there's no walking around a stronghold. A stronghold is always there. It wasn't until I got tired of it, tired of looking at it, tired of dealing with it. And whether that stronghold is a sin, whether that stronghold is an emotion, whether that stronghold is trauma in your life, you got to be tired of it. You got to be ready to remove it. And if you're not ready, if you're not tired of the sin, you're going to keep doing it. You're not tired of looking at pornography, you're going to keep looking at it. If you're not tired of taking that hit on that weed, you're going to keep doing it. If you're not tired of drinking until you black out, you're going to keep doing it. If you're not tired of dealing with that trauma every day, you're going to keep eating it. If you're not tired of that roadblock in your life, you're going to make it part of your life, and you're going to live in it. You're just going to live in it. So you got everybody. Strongholds cannot be dealt with until you are tired of them, until you're tired of dealing with them, until you're tired of looking at them. And then that is when the evolution starts. That is when you can start moving forward and removing those strongholds from your life, whatever they are. Get tired of them. Be sick of them. Hate them. You got to hate them. Because strongholds, I promise you, everybody, a stronghold hates you. The stronghold hates you. The stronghold wants to destroy you. So you got to hate that stronghold just as much as it hates you. And that is when you will be able to start to deal with it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that is when you get beat up by that stronghold so much that it breaks the brakes, the rotors, and the calipers off of you. Like Sean said, that is when you get tired. When you said, I've had enough. When enough is enough, I ain't going to smoke these drugs no more, spend up all my money. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of what this habit is doing to me. I'm sick of what this man, when a woman, I'm talking about a woman, not me. When a woman say, I'm sick of this man doing this to me, I had to say that how rumors get out. But when a woman say, I'm sick and tired of how this man doing me, when a man say, I'm sick and tired of how this woman is doing me, listen to me. Strongholds will destroy you because you become a slave to it.
That's right.
You become a slave to that stronghold. You gotta let it go. Listen, the power of letting go is freedom.
That's right.
The power of letting go. Jesus himself had to let go of his human life. Do you know how hard it was for him to know that I was going to get whooped with a cat of nine tails? I was going to get bruised. They're going to put thorns on top of my head that's 2 inches long, and they slam the crown on me. I got to carry a 200-pound cross, which is our burdens, which is our sins. And he did all of that. Listen to me. You're talking about a stronghold. He took on all of this so that we won't fight with strongholds.
That's right. That's right.
He freed us from it. He gave us the knowledge and wisdom to know that, listen, if I can let go of my physical life, which is now becoming a stronghold to keep me from giving you salvation, you can let go of this little habit. Because what I went through, you can't even imagine. He was unrecognizable. You can't imagine it. So listen, he died for your mistakes. He died for your failures. He died for your grief. He died so that you would not have to have these strongholds. Give it to him. Give it to him and get Satan back his stuff. Now I know this one's supposed to be religious, but it goes where it goes.
Dude,
and I don't apologize. And I don't apologize for it.
It had to be said.
So listen.
Absolutely.
Man, this is a great episode. See, listen. So as we wrap up our discussion on the power of letting go, I want y'all to remember that it's a journey. The power of letting go is a journey. It's not a destination. So letting go
it's a marathon.
And letting go can lead to healing, renewed purpose, and a deeper joy if you just let go and let God.
That's right.
Any final thoughts, Sean?
Yeah, like I said, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. It takes time. It takes time. It takes effort. and you got to be sick of it. You got to be sick of what you're in. You got to be sick of what you're seeing. You got to be sick of what you're feeling to move forward. And when you get to that point, I promise you, it will be the beginning of your healing.
Yes, Sean couldn't have said it better than that. So listen, like we told y'all, we're going to bring the facts and the truth. Mind Changers Podcast.
We told y'all we came to expose the lies and reveal the truth. We told y'all we bring in biblical principles of factual truth. We told y'all we came to expose the lies